Hey everybody, Jason here. I finished Bloodstained Ritual of the Night, and I just wanted to give you guys my final thoughts on it. I'm going to go ahead and keep this spoiler-free as much as I can. So, these are my final stats. I'm level 48. I got 265 attack, 99% of the map, 56,000 gold, and I've put in about 24 hours. So, you know, the music was really good. The game was really good. It wasn't a masterpiece by any, means, but I wasn't really expecting one. The story wasn't real deep. It had a story. It's real to the point. It's not like one of those things that you sit around thinking about after. I mean, let's face it, this game was all about the gameplay. I'd also, I'd also like to get into some of the expectations people have of something like this. This was made. This is. Before I do, let me go ahead and finish talking about different things in the game. Equipment's pretty basic stuff, just like anything. It's got a crafting system. It has a shard system similar to the Sorrow, the handheld games. Like I just recently played Dawn of Sorrow on the DS, and it's got a lot of similar things like that, because you get all these different types of shards from different enemies, and they all do different things. And then you get some from bosses, and then you get some from and then and then you can craft some. You can upgrade them, and it's just like a lot of the other Castlevania games in this style, the Metroidvania style. Even though I think the term's overused. Some games are just a Metroid style game that aren't a Vania style. So that's just a personal pet peeve, I would say. So, it's like I said, you pick up a lot of stuff. You got a cooking thing. It gives you different stats. You got and that's it's not great, to be honest. It's good. It's not bad. Same thing with, like, you pick up all these things from different enemies. Just like the other game, just like a lot of other games. So it wasn't. I thought the potions could have healed a little bit better, but it also might have been my first time, because when you play the game through the first time, you're not as good. But I got better as I went. I still never had a reason to do a backstep. Just like when I played Symphony of the Night, the only time I used a backstep was to get through the room faster. I use the slide a lot, or enough. But there's a lot of cool abilities you get at the end of the game that you can use in boss fights or tough battles. There's a lot of there's a lot of backtracking, getting hit areas that you can't reach. It's all the stuff we expected. And but here's the thing about expectations that I'd like to really get into a bit. When Symphony of the Night came out, it was new. Nobody had ever done, except, nobody had ever taken the Metroid style and turned it into a hack and slash RPG. And that's basically, in Symphony of the Night, for those of you who don't think it's an RPG, in my book, it's an RPG. You level up, you change equipment, there's a story, and you play as Alucard. And I think those are the three of the main things. You don't need to have side quests. You don't have to have all these things, and you have an open world, basically, because the castle is your world. And I never understand people say that Symphony of the Night, that the Metroidvania games are not RPGs. They are. Like I said, you level up, you change your equipment. Even as they went on, you crafted your own equipment. You only, and it's not turn-based, obviously. It's an action RPG, but I mean, I don't know what they expect. And if you go on and on about teams, and there's no team, but if you look at the original Dragon Quest games, there was just one character. There was no teams. So that's not a That's really not a standard that has to be there. So, but yeah, I think a lot of people are looking at this and they're comparing it to Symphony of the Night and the other Castlevania games, Area of Sorrow, Dawn of Sorrow, Harmony of Dissonance, Curse of Darkness on the PS2, which is a 3D Castlevania, Metroidvania style game. I really like that game myself, but I know a lot of people don't. And then there was other ones on the DS. I can't pronounce them all. Order of... yeah, I can't pronounce it. I'm not even going to try. But that's what people... so people have this expectation. They look at this game and they want another masterpiece. That's what they want. I don't even think Symphony of the Night's really a masterpiece. I just think it's just the first one that did it. And people remember it. It's got the nostalgia. So people come onto this game expecting something just as great. And it was never promised. Iga never promised that this was going to be another Symphony of the Night. He said, and even if you go back and watch his Kickstarter video, he was talking about this style of game, this genre. And if you look at the other Castlevania games in this style, none of them are super great. None of them are like masterpieces. That, you know, it's just they're just really good, solid games. And I think that's basically what he promised. And for me, I got exactly what I was expecting. I think the difficulty is just as hard as in this game as it is in those games. And those games aren't difficult. They're just like any other RPG. You got to level up, get the right equipment, and then you can go ahead and, you know, and play the game. Or if you're, you know, one of those people that's really good at moving and hitting and jumping around, then so be it. I've never been one of those people that's great at that. So, but yeah, so I think we need to just keep our expectations realistic. And, you know, you may look at me and say, Jason, you're out of your mind. You know, I expected more out of this, and that's fine. It's, you know, it's all up to you. But the game was exactly what I expected. I didn't expect much of a story. There wasn't a real deep story. I'd love it if they put in a good story. I mean, I'm a story guy. I love, you know, reading books, and I like to write, and I love story. That's why I love RPGs, because a lot of them will have like a really good story. But the Castlevanias were never, you know, they never had a real deep story. They had a good story, fun story, solid story, but it was never real deep. And that's okay. And this didn't have a deep story. I mean, obviously the way they make Miriam look, she's you know, eye candy, and that's just basically, I mean, it's exactly what I expected. So anyway, I'm thinking about, I'm going to stream some other stuff maybe. I was thinking about streaming Sekiro. I haven't played that in a couple months. So I've also got, I was going to put up some Koudelka footage, and I just recently ordered another really expensive PS1 game that I'm going to show you guys when it gets here. But anyway, yeah, I'm going to keep posting more stuff, and thanks for coming by and all the new subscribers. I'm glad to have you, and love my old subscribers too, don't get me wrong. And I will talk to you again real soon. Thanks. Bye.